Welcome back to the podcast, nerds. I am Larry Brantley, and I'm sitting here with my two besties, Micah Donahoe.
Greetings, programs.
That is not what he normally says. And Brent Williams.
Bleep, blurp, blurp.
I
was trying to be R2D2.
Yeah, that was a fail. We're not even, you know what? I'm not even going to say let's cut and go back and do it again. We're just leaving it that way. Boys, when you find something that works, you stick with it. Good God. It's the first lesson of show business. Anyway, Larry, Micah, and Brent, we are the Nerdherfers. We are three middle-aged guys who enjoy whiskeys and cigars and all the nerdy shit we loved when we were kids. And oh my goodness, are we about to blow up the 25 listeners this week with the topic of conversation. But first, a little housekeeping. As always, and by the way, we've got some good news on the housekeeping front because I have been informed by my social media maven and tech guru, Brent Williams, that we've had actually a few of you sign up to subscribe to the Nerdherfers. So
that's awesome.
For those of you who have done that so far, thank you. Now, please go get your mom, your uncle, any friends you might have, whether they're nerds or not, and ask them to subscribe because we want to build that community.
Yeah, and if you have a dog or a cat that has its own Facebook page, you can have them subscribe.
Which is,
That's right.
that's a common thing now.
Anyone you know that has a smartphone or a computer.
Yeah. And a plane, apparently.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that guy to show up. We got all the way through the intro without him, so
What if I got Wi-Fi in the plane?
he's dropping.
That's a really big cicada.
That's a huge cicada, the biggest ever. Anyway,
Fingers crossed.
thank you for signing up. If you haven't signed up for the Nerdherfers community yet, please go out and do so at nerdherfers.com. Jump on our Instagram page. That's at Nerdherfers. And follow us. We will appreciate it because when we get to 100 followers, we're going to give something away off of our website. And it's super cool. It's going to be some kind of merchandise with Micah Donahoe's kick-ass logo on it.
Our
And
logo.
who doesn't love free stuff? I'll tell you who. Terrorists. That's who.
And you don't want to be a terrorist.
Right. So, you guys, if you've listened in before, you know how the show works. Each week, one of us picks some cigars to try, one of us picks a bottle to pass around, and one of us picks the topic of conversation that we are going to geek out about. And this week, we are seriously going to geek out. But before we get to any of that, and the fellas don't know what I'm about to say. Going a little off book tonight.
Uh-oh.
A few episodes ago, we did a show on 80s fads.
Uh-huh.
And it was so much fun. We made it into a two-parter, I think.
Yep.
And we learned in that episode that there are all kinds of fads. There are national fads, there are regional fads, and there are local fads. And because the two of you grew up very close together in North Texas, you two were privy to a fad that I did not get to experience. And when you started talking about it, I saw both of you become like 12 years old again.
Holy shit, what are you
And
about
it
to
was
do?
just amazing. And it
Oh my
thrilled me
God.
so much that I went and found these. So I would like you to pass that to Micah, please.
What is about to happen?
Pass that. Don't open it yet. I'm passing gifts to the boys.
Okay.
And this one is for you. And now that you're all settled back in, please go ahead and open your gifts with all the love in the world from my heart.
Is this
Open
gonna
it up.
cause us to
Open
start
it up.
like swearing?
Crystal!
Holy shnikes! Crystal's pizza and spaghetti.
Where
the hell
in the world did you find these?
I had them made.
You are the bomb. Oh my gosh.
And I have been wanting to give them to you for like 2 weeks, but nobody was in town.
That is so
Oh, my
awesome.
gosh.
So that comes from a place of when I see my friends talk about something that as children they truly, truly loved, and you guys went into so much detail about crystals. It was something I never got to experience. I was like, no matter what it takes, I've got to find someone who can make me a T-shirt with the Crystals logo on
I'm
it.
virtually hugging you right now. This is amazing.
Yeah, you're too
my-
far away. We'll do that later.
Well, all right, that's fine.
Oh
but
my-
anyway,
oh
I
my
just
gosh, thank you, dude. That
Yeah,
is so cool.
man.
that
That's
is
so
it's
awesome.
it's my pleasure, fellas. Thanks for bringing so much joy to me and the 23 other people who listen to this podcast.
Oh, I love it.
It was my turn to choose the cigars this week, and I've got a very special cigar for you guys.
Oh, boy.
It begins in 2022 when I still worked in the cigar industry, and I went to a convention called PCA, that is Premium Cigars Association. They do a big thing every year where all the people who make cigars get together with all the people who sell cigars, and they do a lot of business together, and it's usually in Vegas, and this one was. And one of the things that many cigar makers do for PCA is they make a cigar blend that is just for that event, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it is a limited edition, right? So this cigar began its life as a limited edition cigar and then became so successful after PCA that they decided to make it a regular run. It's still the same blend. This is actually a bigger Vitola than the one that I got at PCA, but I'll tell you the story. So there used to be a company called Ace Prime Cigars, and the head guy there was a guy named Luciano Moraes. And he had a falling out with some people and went off on his own, Luciano did. And what he did for PCA was a cigar that he did in honor of his mother, who died when he was 12 years old. And according to Luciano Moraes, his mother was a very complex woman. She was bold. She was strong and complicated at times, but in the end, was always there for you. And then there's another part of this story that I'll tell you after I present the cigar. This is called the Maria Lucia, and this is the cigar that is named after Luciano's mom, Maria Lucia Moraes.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm going to give you the breakdown on that while I'm handing those out, if you don't mind, sir. Yep. And then one more for you.
Thank you,
So
sir.
the breakdown of this cigar in terms of its construction is that is a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper.
Your favorite.
It is my favorite. It is a double binder, Ecuadorian Sumatra and
Robusto.
Ecuadorian Habano 92.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
my
I
goodness.
love the band.
And
This
then
is
I'll
gorgeous.
tell you about the band. And then the filler is going to be a combination of Nicaraguan, Dominican, and Peruvian fillers.
Ooh.
Now let me tell you about the band. Luciano's oldest daughter, Deborah, is a fashion designer in Paris. And one night she had a dream, and when she had a dream, she woke up and she drew what was in the dream. And she sent the file to her father and said, "I had a dream about a woman. I've never met this woman. I don't know who she is. Do you know who this woman is?" And he said, "It looks amazingly like my mother."
Wow.
Now, Deborah had never seen pictures of her grandmother.
Oh, I see.
And so the image on the band is the image that Deborah drew.
Excuse me. Yeah, I see.
gorgeous.
I didn't realize it was a woman's face. I saw
Yeah.
the flowers, but now I see it's a woman's face. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Box press.
it is a slight box press, which probably means a real nice easy draw. Hooray, hooray.
All right.
I'm getting on the nose there, I'm getting some barnyard,
Yep.
a little bit of leather.
Yep.
Can't wait to see what happens when I open this thing up. So excited. By the way, I've smoked this cigar before. I don't think either of you have you?
Never. Mm-mm.
Outstanding. I was seriously at my local cigar shop today, and I had this panicky thought, like, oh God, can I remember all the cigars that I've given them before? Because what if I inadvertently, like, we're gonna have to start keeping a database, you guys.
Yeah.
All right, cold draw.
Hold, please.
Now that's interesting to me because the draw is a little tight,
Yeah, my draw's tight too.
and it's not a closed foot cigar. Or now it's getting easier.
Yeah.
You can't pull so hard. You just gotta go with it.
Definitely lots of hay.
Getting
Yeah.
like some baker's chocolate in there.
Yeah, it tastes like autumn.
Ooh, autumn. Let's think about autumn while it's 107 degrees outside. By the way, it is the dog days of summer here in Texas, folks, and we are, all of us, literally sitting in puddles of our own making. So there's a visual for you.
Are we firing these bad boys?
Yes, let's do. That's why we're not doing video just yet. All right, here's the lovely
Gotta
sound
wait
of
till-
torches.
Wait till summer ends.
Yeah.
Dried fruit. Getting a little dried fruit.
Marshmallow.
Something roasting or baking, yes. I don't have the sweetness of marshmallow. There's bread for sure, like some kind of bread.
It was like right off that first hit. Right after when I was still trying to get it lit because it was being disagreed. It was being complex.
Good save, buddy. Well, so what do you think, Brent?
Yes, I can't identify this flavor. I'm trying really hard to identify this flavor.
All right, we don't have to do that right away. We'll get into the first third later, and you can tell me
you know
what
what
you
it
think.
is? It's like crackers.
Crackers.
Like saltine crackers.
Saltine crackers. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Do you like saltine crackers?
I love saltine
Oh,
crackers.
okay, that's good news.
Marshmallow, red pepper.
Definitely a little bit of pepper in there.
Red pepper specifically.
Uh-huh.
though. That's
See, I'm not getting spice in this yet. It's just really smooth for me.
Yep.
So would you consider spice to be like one of the pepper tones? Because when I think spices, I think more like baking spices and such.
Well, I think you're narrowing, like pepper's very specific. So pepper, you've got spice and heat. Whereas with baking spices, you probably got something aromatic, like clove.
Yeah.
Or star anise or something like that.
Oh, that's it. Anise.
Boom!
That's what I'm getting. Okay.
You're welcome.
This is
Yes,
such a
thank you.
pretty box press. I don't want to
Yeah.
push it around too much, but I'm not getting a draw. Oh, that's a little better.
All right, so this is the Maria Lucia from Luciano Cigars. You know what would go great with this, Micah?
I'm thinking something brown, something liquor.
Well, since you're thinking that way.
I don't even know her.
Yeah, oh, God.
All right.
I apologize to the 3 women who listen to this
Oh my
podcast,
gosh.
one of whom is my wife.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I got for you today. I had this for the very first time. I had this. This is a bourbon tonight. Shocker. I had this for the very first time last year. A buddy of mine brought me back a bottle, and I don't typically finish my bottles by myself in 2 weeks.
Quitter.
It usually takes me some time to get through it. But this one I enjoyed so much that I inadvertently finished it in 2 weeks without even thinking. I'd come home from work, I'd pour myself a little glass. I mean, because a lot of the times I'm just not drinking unless I'm with people.
I do that with gallons of ice cream, but it's in one sitting.
We're not going to talk about that because I do that too. Okay, so here's what's special about this. So,
Where did that cake go?
I don't know, but I'm pretty, goddammit.
All right. So what a lot of people don't know is that I just came back from the largest motorcycle rally in the country, Sturgis. And this is from Black Fork Farms Distillery in South Dakota. It was first released back in 2021. It is 80 proof. It is called West River Whiskey Straight Bourbon Whiskey.
Nice. Is that a bison on the...
It sure is.
All right.
And
my eyes can't
and
be trusted from
you
here.
can't see it, but he's smoking a pipe.
Nice.
All right.
I saw that in a vision one time, a pipe smoking bison.
So this was released for the very first time in 2021. And they are actually the official bourbon of Deadwood. Deadwood, South Dakota, where a percentage of the sales go to the Deadwood Chamber of Commerce, so they can use this lovely logo right about here. All right, here's what's kind of special about this, because I've never had a bourbon like this one before. They use purple Native American corn.
My people call it maize.
Grown from local 4th generation family farms, instead of the typical number 2 yellow corn that a lot of bourbons use. I got to see the jar. It was so beautiful and just gorgeous.
Was it actually purple?
Yeah.
It's really purple.
Indian corn.
Indian
But I always hate saying Indian corn. Native American corn. All right.
Racist.
Unracist.
We just got
Thank you very
canceled.
much.
Thanks.
That's all, folks.
Lovely. All right. All the grains, before they're used, are smoked with apple and cherry wood.
Okay.
Then the whiskey is double pot distilled and matured for 4 years in Missouri Ozark white oak barrels.
That's
American.
Very specific. Well,
Yep.
when you said Missouri and
Yeah.
Ozark, I figured probably not Missouri, Ozark, Switzerland, which is a very popular destination.
Yeah.
It is. And are you guys ready for the sound we always
Make
love to hear?
it.
Here we go.
Still waiting.
There we
Okay.
go.
There we go.
We're
I
going
was
to
like,
have to get the vice
Please,
grips out
God,
again.
don't let the cork have broken off in my hand.
Now you know
Yeah.
the fun's about to ensue.
All right. Pass a glass, baby.
Yes, I have to once again pass. You're sitting very far away. All right, I got to move my mic. There we go.
We'll do that. pass one down.
Thank you. God, we are making the old man noises tonight, boys. I had to reach.
Okay.
That's my spleen.
I'm just gonna.
Okay. Get a little nose here.
Since I cannot
Woo!
reach to put that in the middle. Okay.
You said this is 80 proof?
80.
Just burned the hair out of my nose. On the nose.
Oh, it smells as good as the first time I ever had it.
It smells sweet.
It does smell sweet.
It smells sweet and buttery.
Oh, yeah. Now, I got to tell you, I cannot get the mash bill on this to save my life.
I hope it doesn't come to that.
When I went to go do the tasting of the other ones, the other Black Fork Farms whiskeys, when I did that, I mean, there are a number of other ones in the array. But yeah, buttery.
Apple butter.
Yep, apple butter. Caramel is super heavy. Oaky.
Yeah.
Oh, there's that smoke.
Oh,
It's almost like a peated bourbon.
almost.
It's not as heavy as like a Lagavulin or a Talisker, but I get the smoke on the back end prominently.
Yeah. Like,
from the maize.
So I'm not getting a lot of ethanol off of this. When you made a comment that you were kind of burning a little bit.
I stuck my nose way too far.
Oh,
down
okay,
in there.
okay.
Yeah.
But I can
That was my
definitely
fault.
say that, like, I don't know about this. I enjoy the smoothness of this one so much. I feel like I want it on, like, if I've got a cold or something.
You don't have to feel ill to want a good bourbon, Micah.
It's Prince corn.
Oh God.
Purple maze. Purple maze.
All right, that is the West River Whiskey. Does anybody else have any notes they want to share?
I already shared mine. It's
right.
delicious, and thank you. It's funny because you and I, Brent, both said it's very, very sweet on the nose. It's not that sweet, as
On the
sweet
palate,
on
yeah.
the palate,
Yeah.
which is good because, as you know, I don't do great with overly sweet things.
Yes.
Hint, hint. Also something from Deadwood.
Yeah, I was going to say, never bringing one of the yummy bitches back to the show.
That is okay. So we're off and running with our cigar and our whiskey. All that's left. And wait. Well, I'm going to go ahead and reveal tonight's topic of conversation because we're
Okay.
about to go to the nerd news. But since the nerd news is all about this week's topic of conversation, Brent, what are we going to talk about this week?
We're going to talk about all things MCU.
Oh, yeah.
It's about time. This
It's
talk
about
is a
that
long
time.
time coming, and I feel like this is the perfect time with the Deadpool and Wolverine coming out, and finally joining MCU
Yes.
and bringing the X-Men into
Yes.
it.
Okay,
It's
and
finally
before we
time
go-
to talk about it.
Before we go any further, if you have not seen Deadpool and Wolverine, please hold off on this unless you
Oh,
want some
stop
spoilers.
right now. Like, literally hit pause.
Yeah, spoilers,
Go see the
spoilers,
movie.
spoilers.
And then come back because all we're going to do is ruin that film
Yes,
for you.
absolutely.
And we won't feel bad about it because you have been duly warned. And since we now know that this week's topic of conversation is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, our first segment up tonight is Nerd News with Brent Williams. What was our new tagline? Last week's news today. Isn't that what we're doing?
That's what we're doing.
Last week's news today. I'm going to have to practice that a few more times. Last week's news today.
All right, well, let's start off. This will be short. Let's start off with the records that Deadpool and Wolverine is
Oh,
setting.
good heavens.
Okay, 444.1 million opening weekend worldwide.
Nikes.
Yeah, worldwide. And that breakdown is 233 international and 211 domestic. All right.
How did that compare to Endgame? Do you have that?
No, I don't have
Should have asked that question
I
before
should.
he
Yeah.
did his research.
Sorry.
It's called research. And
Yeah, sorry.
so anyway, second weekend, 824 million worldwide. And after this weekend, it'll be over 1 billion.
So it's going to be the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time.
Oh,
Isn't
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it already is, right?
And I think one of the records was the largest open for an R-rating movie.
So then maybe we don't have to worry about spoilers at all because anybody listening right now probably already saw it.
let us hope so.
Based on the figures here.
Let us hope so.
Statistically
I
speaking,
don't want to get a
you've seen
nasty
it
phone
already.
call or a text from Ryan Reynolds going, "Why'd you spoil the movie for the two guys that hadn't seen it yet?" Ryan,
Ryan
if you're out
Reynolds
there,
listens to our show.
Ryan Reynolds, if you're out there, I would love for you to listen to our show.
I would love for you to listen.
Well,
But you're never gonna.
you and Hugh can cuddle on the couch and watch it and listen to it together.
That's a love story we were all waiting for.
Oh yeah.
And,
Go ahead.
And since we're talking MCU, we're going to take a look at the upcoming movie timeline for the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay, well, we did just have San Diego Comic-Con.
Yep.
And Kevin Feige did his, Hall H thing where he announces all the upcoming movies. And then it's also, in this version of Nerd News, what he didn't say, but we'll get to that. So hit us up.
All right. Well, February 2025, Captain America: Brave New World.
Yes, my favorite.
Then there's one, I don't know what this is, Thunderbolts for May of 2025.
You don't know what that is?
So Thunderbolts. Wait, do you want this one?
I'll take this one.
Okay, go ahead.
So Thunderbolts is the Suicide Squad of the Marvel Universe. It is all the
All right.
anti-heroes, borderline villains.
Yeah, I never read any of those comics. Or
that
those, yeah.
are that have with all the characters have been introduced already. So you're going to have the Winter Soldier, you're going to have Taskmaster, you're going to have Red Star, you're going to have Yelena, who is Natasha's sister,
Yep.
and you're going to have American Agent.
Yep. U.S.
and,
Agent.
and U.S. Agent, sorry, and then
Ghost.
the character of Contessa, what's her name? It's Julie Louis-Dreyfus's character. She's the one who runs the whole team.
Yeah, we haven't gotten her
Okay.
name yet, but I'm pretty sure it's Madam Hydra.
It's not. We actually have gotten her name.
Oh, we have?
Yes.
I mean, we've gotten her full name, but...
Yeah, we know she's a Countess, and she also works in the CIA. But her character's been introduced in a couple of different shows. And
she's
movies
totally
now.
Hydra.
So they are.
right.
So
Mike
they
has
announced the Thunderbolts. That announcement had been out for a bit, but they introduced the cast. There had been some speculation that other guys might be in the cast. There'd even been some speculation that Deadpool may be in the cast. But now they've been officially introduced, and those are them.
So
All right,
its origin story, though, is that the team was assembled by Thunderbolt Ross, which is why they were called the
James
Thunderbolts.
Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross.
Right.
yes.
But in this case, I actually read something recently that they're not going to leverage General Ross for this.
Which is interesting because he is still alive in the MCU.
Yep.
He's just being played by a different actor now. Anyway, carry on, Brett.
July 2025, The Fantastic Four: First Steps.
Oh,
I can't wait, the first family!
And it's going to be a period piece
Yep.
set in the 1960s, but in the
Yes.
retro-futuristic 1960s.
Oh, yeah.
And an alternate universe with what I think is an awesome cast that they've assembled. So
I don't know if you saw the Easter egg in Deadpool and Wolverine when they're in the void. One of the cars they're flying in
was the Fantastic Car.
the hover
yes.
car.
Fantastic
yeah.
Car.
Yeah.
But it's not going to look like that in the movie.
No.
They actually showed the Fantastic Car
In
on
Hall H.
stage in Hall H. Yeah.
Which looks way more 60s, and therefore I love it to death.
Yep.
Okay, here's one I have a big question mark about, and I couldn't find any information on this. November 2025, Blade.
Okay, so Ali...
Mahershala Ali.
thank you.
I butchered his first name, I'm sure, but anyway.
So that one's been on the books for ages. They've been saying that one's coming for ages and ages, and we could take something out of the Deadpool and Wolverine movie from this because it was
Oh my
really,
gosh.
really funny.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was funny.
When Wesley Snipes looks at the screen and it's like, there'll never be another Blade. And then Deadpool looks at the screen and goes, well, or something like that. I can't remember what he
He
said.
didn't say a word. He did a fourth wall break. And by the way, Blade was not looking at camera. He was looking straight ahead.
Yes.
He was like, only one blade. Only ever going to be one blade. And they pan down to Deadpool, who's looking straight ahead,
Yep.
and then turns and looks at camera, and you see his eyebrow behind his mask go up.
Yep.
And that's all that he says.
It's lovely.
Which, by the way, Wesley Snipes thought that was hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
So to give you some background,
Okay.
so Mahershala, sorry, buddy, Ali, was cast as the new Blade. So you're familiar with the Blade Trinity.
Oh, heck yeah.
Okay, so Blade was and is a Marvel character.
Yep.
They had always planned to reintroduce him into the MCU with a different actor. By the way, Ali is an Academy Award winner. And then many things happened. So he has an uncredited off-camera line in the post-credit scene of Eternals.
Yep.
Where he asks a question of Dane Whitman, who at the end is opening the sword that makes him the Black Knight.
Yep.
And you hear a mysterious voice go, "Are you sure you want to do that, Mr. Whitman?"
Mm-hmm.
That was Blade.
Oh, okay.
But you had to be a real nerd to figure that out. Then they went through rewrite after rewrite after rewrite, and then they went through director after director, and then COVID.
Yep.
So it's been a giant mess.
Well,
So
I'll admit, my nerdiness is not strong in the Marvel universe.
Oh, that's
Anything
okay.
Marvel.
We'll help you.
We're
there.
here for you.
Very specific parts of Marvel, yes, but not all this kind of trivia stuff.
And yet I love that you picked tonight's topic of conversation.
Well, I mean, I love Marvel, but Star Wars is my thing. So I know all the stupid things that nobody knows about Star Wars, but I'm not that way with Marvel. So
I'm the stupid guy in Marvel.
yeah, well, I'm planning
so
on
are
learning.
you.
I'm planning on learning a lot tonight. So
All right.
Ali had another role in Marvel. Anybody remember what it was?
there they are.
Wait. Oh, yes, the cicadas have showed up. Damn it.
Oh my gosh.
All right, I can't remember.
He was in Luke Cage.
He was Cottonmouth.
Yes, he was.
That's right. See, once you said it. What else you got for us in nerd news, buddy?
Well, untitled Marvel movie in February of 2026.
Oh, I know what that one's about.
Do you really?
No.
Avengers Doomsday 2026. May
Yes.
Okay, all right.
2026.
But I want to get into this for a minute.
Let's do.
I am a little bit disappointed because I would like to have seen some completion on the Kang storyline.
I think everybody would.
Yeah, because they canceled Kang and replaced it with Doomsday.
Yep.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I feel like Victor Von Doom is such a pinnacle character in the Marvel Universe that he deserves his own actor. I have no doubt that Robert Downey Jr.
Okay,
is
we're
going
gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that.
Oh yeah, just shut me down. Whatever.
Wow, dude.
No, I'm just saying. Let's get through news. We'll get into our topic, and then we're gonna discuss.
Well, we're going straight back to that after nerd news.
Okay, that's fine. But
I will
we'll
not
discuss
have
it.
you canceling my
No,
friend.
I'm not canceling. I'm just saying let's save the discussion for after. When
So,
we
okay,
start
you
on the
got
topic.
your piece of
Because-
non-news, which is an
yeah.
untitled project. What else you got?
Avengers Secret Wars in May of 2027,
Yes.
and then the rest are untitled in July and November of 27. So
Yeah, we
Let's see.
are. Are you ready to hit the button? Again?
for what?
The one you hit at the introduction of this segment?
The nerd news button.
And that's the end of Nerd News this week, you guys. Okay.
I love that one.
Brent had his moment to shine. So, yes, we are talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe this week. We're talking about the history. We're talking about what we love, what we didn't like so much, the challenges that the MCU has had, how they are trying to overcome them, etc., etc. I want to go back to the discussion that you started,
Yes.
Oh,
Mr. Donahoe. You are apparently not a fan of Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Victor Von Doom.
I don't want to say that definitively. I just want to say that I think. All right, so in the comics, there is an actual storyline where Doctor Doom assumes some Iron Man armor and he goes through this kind of thing. That's the speculation right now. What I was going to say was that Victor Von Doom is such a pinnacle character because we've had such huge names in all of these Marvel character names, and they're just wonderful, and people who have done stuff with them has just been mind-blowingly good. I'm a little disappointed that he's not getting his own unique character. Like, there's not some, I don't know, maybe like, Morgan Freeman or something. It's something really big that would
gosh.
play
An
Victor Von.
85-year-old man as Dr. Doom.
Hey,
Morgan Freeman.
he'll live forever. But I was kind of hoping that Victor Von Doom, when he finally came to the screen, because we all knew that he was coming, because he's so huge, that he would be his own character. And they decided to bring Robert Downey Jr. in, and now I feel like we're truly doing a multiverse kind of thing.
Well, that genie's out of the bottle. I mean, the multiverse makes all things possible.
Yeah.
Let me offer you another take on that. Okay. Jonathan Majors, who was Kang, and I thought he did a hell of a job as Kang. I was looking forward to seeing how that went. He screwed up.
Yep.
Got convicted. Okay, Disney's got to drop him.
Yep.
Marvel's got to make a decision. Do they recast the character, which is not unusual? It's happened before. Look at the Hulk. Look at Thunderbolt Ross. But what they instead decided to do was completely pivot away from Kang. And more than likely, the way they're going to get out of that is they're going to say that Kang Prime was killed in Loki Season 1. And that if there was another Victor Timely, that he died in Quantumania.
Yep.
And so we can assume then that the TVA have taken care of all the variants and gotten the sacred timeline back on track. Right?
Yeah, maybe.
But
With the
if
exception of
that's
that
the
big-ass
direction they're
council
going, it's
that's-
a big ask. But if that's the direction they're going to go, then what they needed was an absolute slam dunk for the fans.
Yep.
And I thought that getting RDJ, and by the way, he wanted to come back.
Yeah. Well, we were going to give him $50 million to come back.
I don't think, I mean, that dude doesn't have to worry about money, hasn't had to worry about money, probably since the 90s.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's the reason he came back. I think that he came back.
I'm just saying, that's a lot of money.
It is. No one's disputing that.
And Robert Downey Jr. is amazing. I have no doubt he's going to do a stellar job. We're going to see whatever he does, and it's going to be amazing. He had his moment. When he comes back as some sort of a variant, but therein lies the question. Does he come back as a variant?
Or he is a completely new character?
It's a good question. I mean, if you remove the goatee, he's obviously
since
totally
the
different
FF
person.
is going to be from an alternate universe set in an alternate period of time. Obviously, there's no reason that Victor Von Doom can't be that as well.
Yeah.
Now, it could be that when he makes his appearance on Earth 616, and everybody thinks, "Oh my God, Tony Stark is back from the dead," it's really going to plague some of the heroes that are still alive to have to fight a guy that looks exactly like a guy that they knew and loved.
Yeah, and Robert Downey Jr. said something when he did his reveal. New mask.
Same task.
Same task,
yeah.
And when I was sitting there thinking about that, I mean, there are stories where Doom has tried to do some sort of a redemption storyline, which would be interesting if he came in a redemption kind of situation and then became even more evil.
Well, it also goes to Avengers Age of Ultron. Mm-hmm. Where there's that great line from Wanda Maximoff, who said to Captain America, Tony Stark doesn't know the difference between saving the world and ending it.
Yeah.
Or Ultron doesn't know the difference between saving the world and destroying it.
Where do you think he gets that from?
Yeah. So there's all kinds of possibilities there. Now, the fact that the Russo brothers are directing fills me with confidence because, let's face it, the Russo brothers are primarily what the tone and style that people think of when they think of the MCU. Now, we can get into movies that went off that and didn't do so well. But right now, let's talk about the first third of this cigar.
Yes.
What? Yeah, it's a cicada. You've heard them before.
Yeah.
What are we thinking here, boys? I'm getting some sweet on this now, almost like plum.
Yeah. I know I'm not being as descriptive tonight, but you keep nailing the different things that
like a stone fruit, something with a pit in it, like a cherry or a plum, but I'm getting plum.
Yeah, definitely dried fruits. The hay is still heavy with me.
There's a little something astringent on the back end that I can't quite identify.
Yeah, no, I'm not getting that at all. I mean, I'm just getting like a smoothness, like a creaminess. It's kind of like it's buttery.
I keep wondering if I need like a draw enhancer or something because I keep trying to get a flavor off of this and
try.
I know it, and I'm not massaging it too bad, but it is starting.
Your
to
wrapper's starting to come undone.
Yeah,
I have some glue. If I can glue it back down.
You have some Elmer's because that's
No,
kind of my
I
favorite.
have cigar glue.
It's actual cigar glue.
Yeah, I have cigar glue.
Okay,
what did you?
But
think
if you
they
prefer
held
like
them together
Gorilla
with?
Glue, like a wood glue, because this is a leaf, I'm good with that.
Oh my gosh.
So much for the first third.
Yeah, the only thing that you wanted to say was uncultured swine. You could have said that.
He would have phrased it a lot less nice than that. Okay, boys, let's staying within the confines of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let's talk about our favorites.
Yeah.
Let's talk about 3 of your favorite Marvel films. No particular order, but let's go round robin like we do. We'll start with Micah.
Okay.
A favorite and why?
Captain America: First Avenger.
Okay.
This definitely stems from my love of the character. He is my all-time favorite Marvel character. Not because of what Chris Evans did with the character, although he did more than I could possibly imagine. Especially when you know that Chris Evans has done things like Johnny Storm, or he's done Not Another Teen Movie where he's carrying that ridiculousness, or The Losers. I don't know if you guys ever saw that movie. But so much fun, so much Chris Evans, and then to see him transform into Steve Rogers was just important. Because I've said this before in one of the previous episodes, but one of the greatest things about the Captain America character is that is that he just basically kicks the crap out of the enemy. The enemy might get away for a second, and they're like, oh my gosh, I think I'm okay. And then all of a sudden, Cap will come through a window, a wall, a door, or something, and it will explode. And he's like, no, pal. You're not done. We're not done. You're going to jail or, behind my fist.
And what is Cap's famous line?
Does he have a famous line?
I could do this all day.
I know that.
Wow.
That's his famous line in the MCU.
Yes. And that's what we're talking about tonight.
But no, so I think that there's...
Captain America First Avenger.
Definitely.
What about you, Brent?
Oh, man. I honestly think that Deadpool and Wolverine has become my new favorite. I'm just all about that movie right now.
Mm-hmm.
It is so good. I want to go see it again. Give me a second. Geez, I'm not talking fast enough for you, Larry. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll just keep talking and I'll just try to do a stream of conscious about this movie, but yeah, whatever.
You realize that has no effect on me whatsoever.
Larry's just looking
You're
at me
just
like,
making an ass out of yourself.
Keep
and you're
trying.
doing a great
Everybody,
job.
you might
Keep
actually
trying,
see
kid.
some good Fight Club tonight.
That's right. Well, I mean, I love Deadpool because he's just the ultimate parody of superhero, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
The
and I just
anti-hero.
love it. And this movie just has so many cameos in it, and and I love the way they played to the fans. Calverine.
Calverine.
That
Oh
was
my
so
gosh,
great.
That was so amazing. And speaking of Chris Evans, when they're in the void and they meet him, and you so think
Oh
What
my
a
God.
great
That
reveal,
was-
because when
Oh
they show
my
his arm,
gosh.
they
Yeah,
showed his arm
it's
and it was
wrapped
red,
in
white, and blue.
Yeah.
It's like, and you hear his voice, and then
He's
it's
going to
not.
say it. He's going to say it. I'm sorry, what
Flame
now?
on. That was so great.
That is a good, a good film.
And I'm sorry. We talked one time before about X-Men, what my favorite character was, and it's I love Wolverine, of course, but my favorite has always been Gambit.
Mine too.
And seeing Channing Tatum is Gambit,
Yeah.
and the way he played it,
Yeah.
I loved it. And I'm even going to say that his Cajun accent was not great, but that was part of the greatness
That
of
was
the
part of the
character.
greatness.
Yeah.
of the
Did you see the
character.
post that Ryan Reynolds did about
Oh, yes.
Channing Tatum?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that was so...
Finally getting to play Gambit.
Oh, my
yeah.
gosh.
Because
Yeah.
he's been
They-
lobbying to play that part for years.
Gambit is grafted to his soul.
Yes.
I was like,
Yeah.
what an amazing line.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I just love that. And I love when Deadpool goes, "Who's your dialect coach?"
The Minions? I feel
was
like
so
we are
great.
missing out on some seriously important exposition here.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny. Anyway,
I'm sorry, Sunshine. I'll try to make this gentle.
Yeah.
Who is your dialect coach?
and that whole reveal scene in the void. Blade comes walking in. I'm like, holy crap, yes. And we have to give props to Blade because there would not be an MCU without Blade.
Agreed.
I mean, he kicked it off.
Why do you
right?
say that?
Because he was the first Marvel movie.
He was not the first Marvel movie.
Well-
He was not the first MCU movie. That
No,
was
no, no,
Iron Man.
He wasn't even MCU. He wasn't MCU, but I'm saying he kicked it off.
Yeah, but that's the cool thing about the MCU is that all of these ones that happened before, they're not discounting. It's like they're just wrapping them into the fold so they become MCU.
Yeah, agreed. I think for me, my first favorite is going to be the original Avengers movie. I've always been a fan of Joss Whedon, not as a human being, but as a director. The reason that I enjoyed that movie so much is because, of course, I had seen the movies previous. So I love it when, again, we talked about this, getting the band together
Yeah.
is like one of my favorite tropes in storytelling. And so this was the first time that was all done. They were all together. They fight each other. They finally work together. Samuel L. Jackson is Nick Fury. I mean,
Oh, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, so good.
It's just the
I
best.
can't imagine anyone else playing him now. There's just no way.
Yeah.
Maybe Josh
So-
Brolin in another universe.
No,
Right?
I could see it.
I could see that.
Like a comic book parallel.
Yeah.
The way that he used to look.
Oh, yeah.
It-
Well, see, that was so the first time we were introduced to Nick Fury in the MCU was in a post-credit scene.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the theater I was in erupted
Yeah.
because at first people were like, you can't have oh my God, it's Samuel L. Jackson. Yes, you can. You can have a black man as Nick Fury. I mean, it was just...
It became totally irrelevant. He
It did.
played.
Yeah.
He played the character so
Oh my
well.
gosh, yeah.
Skin color was
It
irrelevant.
absolutely
Yeah.
was.
Yep.
But I do think that was something that, and we'll get into this, but I think that's something that the comic book guys and girls probably had to understand that this is a different medium we're talking about.
Yeah.
So not anymore because he's black in the comics now.
Well, my point is, like, it used to be all white guys and girls.
Oh,
in the
totally,
comic books.
totally.
Oh, yeah.
And
But I
so-
mean, I'm just saying that the comic book nerds, they had to adopt it because it was
right.
I mean, it was completely adjusted.
So you had Captain America: The First Avenger. Name another one that you really liked and why.
All right, so I'm going to go slightly off book where I would normally lean towards Spider-Man, because I got to say Shang-Chi was something really special.
I was just watching that before coming over here this evening.
About a year before I saw the movie, I started taking Kung Fu, and mostly for health reasons. And I thought that it was so amazing. Some of the things that they were doing, I was learning in class myself, and seeing the way that the different martial arts, like you notice that Shang-Chi, what he was trained at by his father, was very abrasive, hard-hitting impact, whereas in his mother's style was more of a
like Tai
more
Chi.
flowy and Tai Chi. Thank you. So that was just something. The storyline was fantastic. What Awkwafina did with the character.
Oh,
that
she was
had,
awesome.
She was amazing.
Katie.
It wasn't. Yeah, Katie. She wasn't just comic relief. She added meat and value.
She had heart. She had
and
heart.
heart. You know, she grew into something. She was satisfied being a parking attendant, but then she became something greater, effortlessly. And
That's a hard word.
yeah.
Well done.
And I liked seeing the
It takes a
variation
lot
on the
of effort
Mandarin
to
as
say the
well.
word effortlessly.
Yeah.
It is. I like the variation on the Mandarin too, because as we were introduced to the Mandarin originally in Iron Man 3, who was fake, there was actually like one of those Marvel shorts that showed like the Mandarin in the background, all like conniving and stuff when his Middle Eastern family over there, you know, took a back seat to Iron Man. So anyway, my 2 cents.
Very nice. What about you, Brent?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, funny.
Man,
So
James
good.
Gunn.
Such
James
great comic.
freaking Gunn.
Yep.
Love that guy.
Yep.
Expound.
Well, you know, because there's so much nostalgia in the movie, right? And Peter Quill is just stuck in his childhood, basically,
Oh, yes.
as most men are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're staring at each other hard right now.
And then I just love one of my favorite characters is Rocket Raccoon. Bradley Cooper just completely brought that character.
Killed
Agreed.
it. He killed it. So
It
good.
was amazing in that. And I'm not going to Dave Bautista as Drax.
I loved him.
I did too. No, I was going to say I didn't want to skip over that. Because you know Dave Bautista, I mean, he's a professional wrestler, which I guess those guys are kind of actors, but he actually does complete justice to that character.
100%.
Complete justice.
And he's funny as all
And
hell.
he's funny because his humor is so dry.
Yeah.
It is so funny. Yeah.
Nothing gets over my head.
I was watching
reflexes are too fast.
Endgame the other day when Peter Quill and Gamora are sitting there talking, you know, and they're kind of getting a little bit romantic or whatever, and then they turn around and Drax is standing there eating a bag of chips.
Yeah.
I've
That
learned-
was Infinity War.
Infinity War.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've learned the art of staying completely still.
Yes, I become invisible.
Did you
I'm
see the
moving
Christmas
so
episode?
slow it's imperceptible.
What's that?
Did you guys see the Christmas show? The
Oh,
Christmas
yeah.
Oh yeah,
episode?
that was hilarious.
Kevin Bacon.
Oh
yeah.
gosh, that was hilarious.
With Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Kevin
So
Bacon.
here's an
I love when they go,
interesting-
he's an actor. He's an actor. Oh, that was
Here's
great.
an interesting thing about Guardians for me is the fact that it was the first time in the MCU that we went cosmic.
Yeah.
Right now,
Yeah.
and
It
no
was-
particular superpowers.
it was a
either.
long shot.
just
Right.
aliens.
It was a long shot doing this because everything up until that point has been ground level superheroes.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, if you're a hardcore Marvel nerd, and I'm going to make the difference in the MCU, there are casual Marvel fans and there are hardcore Marvel fans. And the reason that I would distinguish, the biggest reason I would distinguish them is that the hardcores are probably guys who collected the comics.
Hello.
Yeah, same. So it was a big chance because let's face it, the overwhelming majority of your audience is casual Marvel fans.
Oh yeah.
So taking them off-world. Now, granted, James Gunn was very wise. He selected a character that had started his life on Earth, was kidnapped from Earth, and is still attached to his home by the cassette tapes that his mixtapes that his mom made for him. But now we're introduced to a much wider world. When we showed up at Xandar for the first time, I was like, Does this mean we're going to get a Nova movie?
Yeah.
Because that's how nerd I am.
Oh, you know that's coming. And by the way, I just want to plug the video game. If nobody ever played the Guardians of the Galaxy video game, came out for like Xbox One, I think. Fantastic. Hilarious. Absolutely wonderful. Check it out. Oh, and I wanted to mention one other thing. So I remember back in the 80s, you made a comment about Rocket Raccoon. Mm-hmm. Back in the 80s, my access to comic books consisted of a convenience store down the street on a rotating rack of comic books. Not like a comic book store,
right?
But like I had to go in and I had to rotate the rack and pick out my books. And I specifically remember Guardians of the Galaxy and seeing Rocket Raccoon on the cover and thinking to myself, that's baby shit. That's baby stuff. I don't want to have anything to do with it. Oh, Iron Man. And I took it. So I totally passed on it. And I haven't revisited the comics on it to really kind of go even further into it, although I know some of the history. But I'm really happy what they did with the movies.
Yeah. So my next fave Marvel is probably going to be Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So this was the first Russo brothers film, I believe, in the MCU.
Yep.
And it was gritty. It was down to earth. It was action-packed. It contained one of the greatest fight sequences I've ever seen on film.
Yeah.
Which is the initial fight between the Winter Soldier and Steve Rogers.
Whoa, even better.
And
did you see that battle between him and the Leaper at the beginning of the movie? The Leaper. It was a minor comic book villain. Batroc. Batroc the Leaper.
Yeah, played by George St. Pierre, who was a former UFC champion.
And that battle.
It was a good fight.
Holy shnikes.
So that was I loved it for that reason. I love the pace that the Russo brothers established in a film. And quite frankly, a lot of people did because, they sort of became the Marvel gold standard for movies. They did Infinity War, they did Endgame. That's what everybody was, associating with a Marvel movie. That was the first one that they did, and I just absolutely love it. I love the introduction of Sam Wilson as Falcon.
Yep.
I love that some Easter eggs were starting to pay off, like in Avengers, where we see Sitwell on the helicarrier, and then later we find out he's a Hydra agent.
Right.
That was when I started to see some of those payoffs. So I really, really dug that one. No, I'm good right now. Thank you, sir. Okay, one more round, and then we're going to move on from the topic of favorites. Micah?
Okay. So I was just going to work my way down the Captain America list because I'm right there with you with Winter Soldier. It was absolutely fantastic. And I have to agree with you on the Avengers part that you did before. It's because when Avengers actually released, with all the buildup that happened to that movie, I was telling people that it was the first Avengers movie was probably one of the best superhero movies I'd ever seen in my entire life. But I'm going to have to go into Spider-Man for this. Spider-Man No Way Home. And it gave us... That was one of the times where the MCU definitively started to wrap in Sam Raimi and the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and bringing those in together to work as a team and having all of those classic villains getting to a spot where they could set Spider-Man up to be a character that nobody really knows, which actually the whole Doctor Strange modifying the world to not know Peter Parker lends to a story in the and I'm sorry guys, I keep going to this, but it lends to a story in the comics called Brand New Day, which resets the whole events of the Civil War thing when Peter Parker's Aunt May and Mary Jane get killed by Green Goblin. So all that aside, I like how they've set it up for whatever Spider-Man 4 is going to be. He doesn't have a lot of tech. He's probably still going to have his mask integrated with the technology in Spider-Man 4, but he's got his classic suit coming back up. But I just really like the way they organized No Way Home to set up these future stories for Spider-Man if Tom Holland is willing to continue.
Well, they're probably going to pay him a lot of money too.
God willing.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Holland for me, he's my favorite actor for Spider-Man, for sure.
Yeah.
Because he is way more the boy next door type. I mean, I love Tobey Maguire, but I don't know. He didn't quite do it for me. And then Andrew Garfield, not at all. Was not an Andrew Garfield fan.
I want to dig on this for just a second, and I won't go long, I promise. I feel like Spider-Man... Hold on. The Spider-Man character holds certain criteria, just like Batman, for instance. Batman has to be a detective. He has to be a ninja. But with Spider-Man, he's a scientist, and he's Spider-Man. But the scientist part was probably one of the most important parts of being Spider-Man, because he made all of his own stuff. He's not Bruce. He can't afford all this stuff. He has to come up with this stuff on his own. And that's why I liked Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
Because they really spent time showing how he created his own things and how he built his own equipment in his suit. The Tobey Maguire thing was like he had a brief conversation with Doc Ock about science, and then suddenly we believe he's a scientist. I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
And that's why when Tom Holland is doing kind of the same thing, that's why I got on board.
Yeah. My number 3. Okay, it's funny because you just mentioned him in your Spider-Man. And this movie, actually, I don't think it did very well. And I think it critically, the fans didn't like it as much. But I loved it because it brought to life for me a character I loved from the comic books when I was a kid. And I think the actor that played him was perfect. Doctor Strange.
Oh,
yeah.
Which Doctor Strange film? The first one?
The first one.
Okay, the origin story. Yeah.
Yeah. I just love, Dirk-a-Bit Cummerbund. He's my favorite actor ever. No, I'm just kidding. No, I just thought he did such a great. I mean, the way that Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark.
He is Stephen Strange. Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
He sure is. Benedict Cumberbatch.
He's never heard
almost
that
like we don't
before.
have the license to use his name.
Right.
Okay, quick aside. There's this funny thing. You ever watch the Graham Norton show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Penguins?
The Penguins.
Yeah.
He couldn't ever say it right. He did a documentary where he's narrating the Penguins. Have you seen it?
No.
And he was calling them
we'll send you that
penguins.
Penguins.
But he
Penguins.
said like 3 different things. Like every time he said the word penguin, it was a different word. It was so funny.
It was pretty funny. I love most of the Marvel movies, but if I'm going to pick a third, it's got to be Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, so funny.
So it's exactly why. Because I did not really care for the first 2 Thor movies.
You didn't like the first one?
I didn't like the first one because he spent 3/4 of the movie without his powers. It was, he's trying to redemption. He's still kind of an ass. Finally figures it out in the end. Thor: The Dark World, didn't like at all.
I did not like that.
That was a rough one, but I will
all.
say that the more I watched Dark World, the more I appreciated it.
Fair enough. But by the time we got to Ragnarok, I think Hemsworth had figured out, and I'm sure he got permission from Taika Waititi, it's okay to be funny.
Yeah.
And he was hysterical. And I thought that him and Ruffalo had great chemistry together.
Yeah. Totally.
I thought that Kate was awesome as Hela. It was nice to be able to say goodbye to Odin. You had the great Stephen Strange cameo, which was hysterical.
Fill in the beer.
Yeah. But I mean, that they integrated humor so well into what ultimately was, there was a lot at stake in the movie.
Yeah.
And forever and a day, if someone says, if you could pick a sidekick, any sidekick, who would it be? For me, it would be Korg.
Oh,
I actually be Korg, man.
I actually was just watching that part of Ragnarok, the fight scene, and after the fight scene, when he gets thrown in there.
Yeah.
I made a rock, but don't let that intimidate you.
Yeah. Unless you're made of scissors.
Yeah, unless you're made of scissors. And then he talks about, he goes, "Why are you in
Sorry,
here?"
that was just a little rock, paper, scissors joke.
Yeah. And then Thor's like, "Well, why are you in here?" And he goes, "Oh, I tried to start a rebellion."
Yeah. Tried to start a rebellion, but no one showed up. I didn't print enough flyers. The only people who came were my mom and her boyfriend, who I hate.
You know what's really great too is that he's a Cronin, and from the original Thor comic books, the Cronin were a species that Thor fought regularly.
Yeah.
So when he takes an affront to him at first, he's like holy, and he starts to back off a little bit. You think there's going to be some sort of fight, but Korg is so damn funny.
Yeah,
he's so damn funny.
Although in Dark World, they did bring a Cronin.
Yes,
a massive one. Knocked his freaking block off.
Yes, he did.
No pun intended.
And then if you've never seen the outtakes for Ragnarok, the Taika Waititi is Korg, and he's motion capture dressed up, and so the Korg head is up here on a stick, right? And it's the scene where they're evacuating the planet, or they're evacuating Asgard into the big ship. And so he was like, every take he would do something different. Like he's guiding people into the ship. He's like, everybody step this way. There's a kitchenette to the right. Bedrooms are all the way back down at the far end. Don't use the toilet right up front. You know, like, he would just say different stuff like that all the time in the outtakes. It was hysterical. So yeah, Thor Ragnarok. Now let's pivot and go to. Are we in the second third yet?
Just about.
We're getting close. Has anything changed for you, Brent, on this cigar?
Not really. I think I'm starting to get that marshmallow now, though. It's toasted marshmallow. Yeah.
I'm getting heavy. The hay and the leather are just prevalent over and over again.
Yeah, it's leather sofa for me right now.
I want to find those fruit notes that you keep talking about, and I just can't.
That's okay. Not everybody can be right.
Oh my gosh!
I got to ask you guys about the whiskey. So you guys have stopped drinking. Is it?
I have not stopped drinking, sir.
I'm just drinking slower.
I take offense to that.
I'm accusing. No, I'm kidding. I'm actually curious if you guys have any thoughts on this as it pairs with the cigar.
I will be able to better answer that question when I put some ice in this bad boy.
Yeah?
Yeah. And since it's now, the sun has gone down and it's only 101 degrees, I would really like to put some ice in this. So shall we have an ice break?
Time for an ice break.
Exactly. Brent, lead us in.
Time for an ice break.
And we're back. Okay. Let's wait for everybody to get situated.
All right. So now that we've added ice to the whiskey, everybody have a little taste.
So I love this.
Yeah. Better
It's
with ice.
way smoother. It's cooler.
It opens it up a lot.
Oh my gosh.
I'm getting
really
some
opens it up.
like. I don't mean this in a bad way, but one of my favorite cigar cereals as a kid was Fruity Pebbles. I'm getting some Fruity Pebbles.
Oh my. I will humbly disagree, but I'm glad you're
Open
enjoying.
up your heart and let the sun shine in. Come on, man.
It's a little dark in here at the moment.
All right, so boys, we're talking all things MCU. We've talked about some of our favorite movies, probably too much if I'm being honest. Brent will fix that in the edit. But now I want to talk about the missteps as we all see them.
Yeah. All
right. So they can't all be home runs. I think everyone agreed that there have been, even Kevin Feige would agree, that there have been some missteps in the MCU. I would be interested to know what you guys think some of those are.
I've got mine loaded.
And why. Oh, well, since you're loaded, fire away, Gridley.
All right. So I want to do this as a slight multi-part. I feel like
he's got like 7 subtopics.
This is gonna take forever. That's all right.
That's fine.
That's okay, because when you guys do it, it's totally cool. But when I do it, okay, I get it.
Well, because we don't preface it like that. We don't tell you in advance.
All right, so I just want to tell you that I'm going to talk
while.
for the next 45 hours.
Yeah, which is basically what you just did, and that's cool.
I know, everybody's used to me.
All right, give me the multi-part.
All right, so
just tell me where I can nap.
You can start right now. All right, cool. So Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, so good, so busy, so much. And then I want to talk about Marvel Disney Plus TV, where you've got all of this, you've got this preemptive stuff before that you've seen in the movies. You've got, 23, 24 films that lead up to Endgame that are just, or is it 22?
It's more than that, because there's like 30-something movies on.
Well, yeah, but I mean up to Endgame at least.
Yeah.
And we have been treated with all of this, and of course we get this wonderful moment with Endgame, and everything's wonderful. Then they start throwing the TV series at us with WandaVision and Loki and stuff like that. We are seeing characters that we absolutely love, and we're sitting there on the edge of our seats ready for more MCU greatness. And while I felt like WandaVision was good, not until the end of the series did we start getting some real meat. And the same thing with the Loki television series, where it started to really drag, where I'm like, I love these characters. Come on. There we go.
That's it?
That's it.
That's your... Okay. I just thought he was going to call out like mistakes or decisions that were made in the movies.
That was a mistake. The lag that happened in the TV series.
So your argument is, within the television series, specifically WandaVision and Loki, there wasn't enough going on.
There was drag. No, there was stuff going on. There was just drag to get to the point.
Okay. That may be, and I'm not discounting your opinion, but that may be the difference between cinema and television.
That's fine. But
Episodic television, you can't wrap everything up in a couple of hours.
Sure, but then you have to take the Marvels, and you have to take Ant-Man Quantumania and these kind of things that had a ton of action. And while I still felt like something was dragging.
What is it that you thought was dragging in that, or lagging, whatever you want to call it?
Well, at least in the TV series, I felt like we were just taking too long to get to the point.
Well, I mean,
to get to the climax.
I'll agree that Loki season 1 was a little slow in moving, but season 2 was not. Season 2 I loved.
I see you nodding, Micah, but do you secretly disagree?
Yeah.
Yeah, he disagrees.
Because I don't feel like Loki
this is a safe space. You can say you disagree with
I
Brent.
feel like Loki season 2 didn't pick up until the very end.
Okay.
Until he started bouncing in time at his own will. And he found that he had that control. That's when the season 2 started to get really, really good.
Yeah.
But, Multiverse of Madness, on the other hand, being cinematic, was just so much. There was so much going on at once. And John Krasinski not continuing as Reed Richards still pisses me off. I'm just going to say that out loud.
I think what bothered a lot of people... So again, earlier in the conversation, I said that I believe that there are two types of MCU fans. There are the casual Marvel fans, and these are the Marvel fans who know predominantly these characters and these universes by watching the movies and the television shows.
Yep.
And then you have the hardcore Marvel fans. These are the ones who probably got their start reading the comics.
Yep.
Right? So there's a interesting dichotomy there where the people who are hardcore Marvel fans have got to accept some things about the medium of cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some things that casual Marvel fans have to accept, which is, I've never heard of these characters. I don't understand them.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're from.
Right.
In terms of Multiverse of Madness, I think the reason that it was a flop with a lot of fans was the fact that they really embraced the idea of a Sam Raimi horror flick. And I don't think a lot of Marvel fans were ready to see Doctor Strange in that situation, like the Doctor Strange zombie and that kind of thing. Also, the fact that Wanda Maximoff had a tragic character arc. A lot of people forget that, the Greeks invented tragedy. They're super good at it. And that was like the purest form of storytelling.
Yep.
There never used to be a happy ending in the original stories. Everything ended badly.
Yeah.
But we have a consumer base that wants my wife will be the first to tell you she wants the Hollywood ending and she wants it every time. And so she was distressed by the horror aspect of Multiverse, but she was also distressed about the fact that Wanda Maximoff is ultimately a tragic figure who winds up dying of her own hand. Right? What about you? Not Multiverse, but let's talk about what you think was kind of a miss for Marvel.
Well, I don't know if it's a miss. And I mean, honestly, I'm going to say I probably fall somewhere around that casual Marvel fan, because I didn't read all the comic books growing up. I read mostly X-Men and Wolverine stuff. But one thing that's always driven me crazy was, and to me it's just lazy, and Deadpool, I love it when Deadpool says it in his movie, so that's just lazy writing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think I'm getting tired of the way the multiverse is used to, and I'm going to use air quotes here, fix mistakes.
Yep.
Or just let them go. You know what? That didn't work. Let's multiverse it and do a different direction.
Well, give me an example.
Oh my gosh. You would ask me for a specific example.
Well, the reason that I'm doing that is because that is a criticism that some people make generally, and then every single time that I try to narrow in, I'm like, well, get specific. They can't. And that leads me to believe.
Okay, but I don't think it necessarily needs a specific example, because the whole point of the disappointment is instead of good writing and good storytelling and continuing the story arc, they're like, oops, that didn't work. Multiverse reset.
You are
You know?
furthering the point that's been going on since the 80s, by the way, because Marvel and DC both had leveraged the whole multiverse thing.
Yeah.
And then there was something going on in DC that they did poorly in the TV shows when they tried to do it in the Arrowverse.
The Paradox?
Well, no, the Crisis on Infinite
Crisis
Earths.
on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
So this is the whole purpose of Crisis on Infinite Earths was because they realized they had created so many different multiverses with so many different characters that they needed to clean up DC.
Well, I think it was
Marvel
also,
did the same thing.
I think it was also a viewership and ratings ploy because you had to watch the different shows to see the continuation of the story.
And the argument that you were just making, though, is that's what I wanted to kind of just make sure that was pointed there, because poor writing or lazy writing happened in the comics as well, which furthered the whole point of trying to destroy other characters from other multiverses so that they narrow it down to one.
Well, and I think it's become an important enough topic. I mean, because in Deadpool and Wolverine, he addresses it. He talks about the multiverse and you know how it's just done. Can we just agree it's done? He goes, it's just been miss after miss after miss. You know? Oh my gosh, it was so funny.
It is funny. Unfortunately, what's not funny is we have run out of time for this week. But don't you worry, we have not begun to begin nerding this conversation into the ground. Join us next week as we continue our conversation of what we are calling the MCU of Madness. Until then, for Micah Donahoe and Brent Williams, I am Larry Brantley saying, Avengers, flame on!
This has been a production of Nerdherfers, copyright 2024, all rights reserved. No portion, and I do mean no portion of this broadcast may be used without permission. Please visit nerdherfers.com for more information and full legal disclaimer, you nerd.
That's the first thing you said that wasn't batshit crazy!